case, we suspect variola minor, which is the variola virus, which is possible smallpox. So how many people say category A? Raise your hand. Okay, there's actually only one correct answer here, and that is category A. That is the only correct answer that would be acceptable, because smallpox, if you suspect smallpox, if you think that there's a spreading smallpox outbreak in your community, that is a national emergency. That is an international emergency. That is a very, 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 very high risk, big deal. And so any smallpox outbreaks would be handled at category A, even if it was suspected. All right, next, the culture of Salmonella typhi. This one would be very similar. So Salmonella is very kind of similar in that same category as Staph aureus. It's a fairly low risk pathogen. In the US, we have an estimated 250,000 infections of Salmonella every year. And of those 250,000, less than a handful result in any serious complications or deaths. And so Salmonella is a very common pathogen. It's not a high-risk pathogen, so it would be category B. Next, I have bovine sera to test for possible case of foot and mouth disease. So this is interesting. Any category A's here? Do we have any category A?
Yeah.
A few category A? Okay, good. And you know what? I think in the US, and in Europe, we would definitely handle these probably as category A. So because foot and mouth disease is not found in nature, at least in the US, if we were handling foot and mouth disease, or we suspected a foot and mouth disease outbreak, that certainly it's an animal pathogen, it's not a human pathogen. I think in the US, we would handle these as category A. However, in Nigeria, foot and mouth disease is a very common pathogen. Well, I don't know how common, but it's fairly common. It's found in wildlife. It's found in cattle. It's found in sheep. It's found in many goats and other animals. And it's endemic and fairly widespread. So at least in Nigeria, I think category B would be the correct answer for that. All right. Any questions so far?
Any question?
Yeah. We're looking at the portrait of Salmonella typhi. Understand your explanation with regards to its nature, almost like that of Staph. But we're looking at typhi as one of the virulent host species that untreated cases can be very lethargic. We're saying typhi generates high level fever that could cause death. And it has happened many times among even healthy individuals. So, will you rather feel that it can also fall in category A based on that?
Well, I guess if you had in your hospital, if you had a case where you had Salmonella typhi outbreak and people were dying, and there's no antibiotic treatment, they're not responding to antibiotics, and it is spreading, it's contagious, and people are dying, then yeah, it could be category A. But that would be a really very odd circumstance, and that would probably be a unique pathogen that we haven't seen before, because Salmonella is involved in some like, for example, I know in especially in very young children, it can result in blindness or kind of permanent disability in some cases, but those can be, if they're diagnosed early and treated with antibiotics, are generally not a high risk situation. And so I would be reluctant, unless you have a new strain of salmonella that's causing death in healthy people. I would treat it as a category B. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Just like you said, maybe.
Okay. All right. So the next one we have is it's the urine, human and blood. In this case, we do know something about the health history. In fact, we're sending this urine and the blood for pregnancy testing, and we've made a professional determination that there's minimal likelihood of disease. So in this case, it's not an infectious substance. It's not category A. It's not category B. This is a classic example of an exempt patient specimen. Next one, the McDonald's French fries. This is, in this case, this would be our one item on this whole list that is not regulated. And then finally, the culture of Bacillus anthracis would be category A. All right. Do we have any questions about any of these? All right. I'm not seeing any questions. So let's let me just kind of summarize what we've talked about so far. So those that are category A are those that are very high risk, that have permanent consequences, fatal, deadly diseases in healthy people. And then those that are category B are moderate to low risk, with generally short-term consequences, meaning, they can be treated, there are vaccinations available, or they are not deadly. And then finally, exempt or not regulated are those with minimal risk and essentially no consequences if you're exposed to them. So any questions on that?
What is again? What is again?
All right. I'm not seeing any questions, so we'll go to the next part. So step 2. So step 1, once we've determined that it's an infectious substance, once we've classified it as category A or B, the next step is identification. So identification is what we refer to as assigning a proper shipping name. So every dangerous good has what's called a proper shipping name associated with it. And in the regulations, there is a list of proper shipping names. And in fact, there are over 2,000 proper shipping names. So every dangerous good has to be assigned a name from the list, meaning we can't just call it whatever we want. We have to use the internationally recognized names. So this is the internationally recognized names for category A, for category B, for dry ice. So dry ice is also considered a dangerous good, and we'll talk about that actually tomorrow. We'll spend a lot of time talking about dry ice tomorrow. And then you'll notice I have included on this list exempt patient specimens. I want to note though, exempt patient specimens are not. So these exempt patient specimens, these are not dangerous goods, but you still have to mark on the outside of the package. You have to write this name, exempt human specimen, for blood, body fluids, and tissues, and so on, swabs from humans, or exempt animal specimen for tissues, organs, body parts, swabs, and things like that from animals. So for category A, there are 2 proper shipping names, infectious substance affecting humans and infectious substance affecting animals. So every proper shipping name also has what's called a UN identification number, which is a 4-digit number that is assigned to that proper shipping name. And the UN number is always preceded by capital U, capital N, UN 2814, for example, UN 2900 or UN 3373. So that every dangerous good has both a number and a name. And the number and the name, the UN number and the proper shipping name, these two things are always go together. And they're listed, you see them on the paperwork. You also see them printed or written on the outside of the package. One thing I want to point out for UN 2814, infectious substance affecting humans, it has a star after it. After the proper shipping name. Now that star, that asterisk, when you see that asterisk, what that means is, that's actually not part of the proper shipping name, but what that means is that on the paperwork, not on the package, but on the paperwork, you must supplement the proper shipping name with what's called a technical name. And the technical name goes in parentheses after the proper shipping name. Now I'm going to get into that technical name. I'm going to get into that once we get into the paperwork portion. But that is the technical name, and the technical name always goes in parentheses. For UN 2900, infectious substance affecting animals, you'll notice that it has this word only after the proper shipping name. And what that word only means is that UN 2900, this proper shipping name, is only applicable to pathogens that affect only animals. So if a pathogen is a zoonotic agent that affects both humans and animals, then you use this proper shipping name, UN 2814, infectious substance, affecting humans. UN 2900, this proper shipping name is only reserved for animal-only pathogens. So if you go back and if you look at the list of WHO that's in the WHO book, so let me show you this list, for example. So when you look at this list, you'll notice on this list, it has UN 2814, infectious substance affecting humans, and then things like Bacillus anthracis, Brucella abortus, Brucella melitensis, Brucella suis, Burkholderia, Malii. All of these pathogens are actually zoonotic agents. And it's more likely that you're going to find Brucella abortus. It's much more likely that you're going to find this in an animal than you would actually, like in a sheep or goat, than you would find it in a human. However, if you have a culture of Brucella abortus, or for example, Brucella suis is found in pigs. So if you find that Brucella species, it's most likely found in pigs. But if you have a culture of it, the proper shipping name is infectious substance affecting humans. Even if it came from a pig, even if it came from a cow, sheep, or goat, the proper shipping name for it would be infectious substance affecting humans. If we look towards the end, so if you go down, they have here at the bottom, they have these 13 agents right here. These agents are UN 2900 infectious substance affecting animals. And you'll notice that these are all animal-only pathogens. So for example, African swine fever virus, avian paramyxovirus, classical swine fever, foot and mouth disease, goat pox, lumpy skin disease, Mycoplasma mycoides, PPR, that's a peste des petits ruminants, rinderpest, which has been eliminated. There should no longer be any rinderpest samples anywhere in the world except in a few freezers around the world. Sheeppox virus, swine vesicular disease, and vesicular stomatitis virus, or VSV. So unless you have a culture of one of those 13 pathogens, it is not UN 2900. All the other category A's are UN 2814, infectious substance affecting humans. All right, any questions there? All right, let's go back then to our slides. So you'll notice here, if you see the star, remember, if you see that asterisk or the star, that means the proper shipping name must be supplemented with a technical name in parentheses after the proper shipping name. So this is an example here, UN 2814, infectious substance affecting humans, and then in parentheses, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Okay. Another note, there is medical waste is regulated, but remember, this is NIATA only designation. So depending on how medical waste is regulated in your country, in Nigeria, at least if you're not shipping medical waste by air, and I can't think of any reason why you would ship medical waste by air, but there is a case where if you have medical waste that has suspected category A in it, then it is assigned to UN 3549. Such waste is forbidden for air transport. Sorry, excuse me. Anyhow, for the most part, medical waste is not probably regulated as such in unless you're shipping it by air, which would be odd to be shipping waste by air. All right, so now what I want you to do is let's go back to your one other thing I wanted to mention with proper shipping names. So when you look at these proper shipping names, and this is very important, is that you cannot abbreviate a proper shipping name. It has to be spelled exactly as it appears on this list. So you're not, for example, you're not allowed to abbreviate or switch the order. Well, you can switch the order. So for example, you could say category B, biological substance. You could switch the order, but you cannot abbreviate it. And like, for example, it could be solid carbon dioxide rather than carbon dioxide, comma, solid. Either one is acceptable. Oh, you could have the plural. For example, you could say biological substances category B or infectious substances affecting humans. So you could have the singular form or the plural form. All right. So what I want you to do is go back to your worksheets. So look at your worksheet. If you recall, that's this document, right? Where's the worksheet? I've lost it. So you have your worksheet where you selected category A, category B. Now what I want you to do is write the proper shipping name and UN number for each of the samples. So for example, we have the 13 items that you listed. So for each of these items, for the chicken blood, for the human oropharyngeal swab, for the human sputum, for the acid-fast bacilli, the dead bat, for each of those samples, I want you to write the UN number and the proper shipping name. So write those on your worksheets. So go ahead and get started on that. And for Abiodun and for Easter, as they are writing their sheets, so this isn't as they're writing the proper shipping names, can you go around and make sure that they are spelling it correctly, that they have the right UN number, that they have capital U, capital N 2814 or UN 3373, and that they have the proper shipping name, biological substance, comma, category B, etc. So for example, let me just show you what we're doing. So for example, if you had selected for the chicken blood, let's just say for the chicken blood, let's say you selected category A, which is fine. Remember, I said it could be category A or it could be category B, right? But let's say you chose category A. In that case, what you're going to do is you will write the UNID number, which in this case,
1-4.
would be, even though it's chicken blood, remember H5N1 is a human pathogen. So I'd write UN 2814. And then for the proper shipping name, so for the proper shipping name, I'm going to need to change my font size because my font size is too big. So just give me a sec. Where is my font size? There we go. So font size, I'm going to have to go down to 12. All right, good. So I'm going to have to say infectious substance, comma, affecting humans. All right. So that's what your table is going to look like. And what I want to do is have I want Easter and Abiodun to be walking around and make sure you correct any mistakes if you see any. Some key things I want you to be looking for as they are filling them out. Some key things I want you to be looking for is that they have the capital U, capital N there. Make sure that that capital U, capital N is there. Make sure that they have the correct number. That number matches the proper shipping name. Make sure the proper shipping name is spelled exactly correct. You could have a singular or you could have a plural. It could say infectious substances. The comma is optional. If you have a comma, great. If you don't have a comma, that's okay. But make sure it's spelled correctly. Make sure all of that is correct. So I'm going to have Abiodun and Easter walking around correcting you as you go. Make sure there are no abbreviations. So one of the reasons why I want you guys doing this is because if you write it over and over and over again, write it many times, it's helping you create muscle memory that helps you remember it. So by writing UN 2814, UN 3373, UN 3373, by writing that over and over and over again, it helps you memorize it. And so that's why I want all of these written out fully. Don't just give a bunch of like ticks like this. Make sure you write each one out. Let me know when everyone has it correct.
You will exempt women's issues or exempt. Yeah. Exempt women's that's the proper. Rest of, yeah, puts. Yeah.
Let me know when everyone's got it, okay? Are we done? Okay. Okay, so this is about what it should look like if you something like this. You'll notice that this is blank, and remember with exempt human specimen, there is no UN number, so that should be blank.
This one is correlation. This is correct. Put the proportion in there, which is the pressure. In bracket, you have this of the category A. It was the second unit was
like this one, like.
The question is being asked about the French fries is not regulated. So there's no UN number or local shipping. So what should they write there? Okay, as I really
Sorry, it's hard. I can't hear. Can you type that in the chat box? So Bioden, can you type that question in the chat box?
For the French fries, which is not regulated, but I see you just put land there, so that means that it's not, it doesn't have any professional name ascribed to it. So does that?
That's right. That's right. So if it's not regulated, so anything that is in this column that is not regulated, it does not have a UN number. It does not have a shipping name. But exempt, if you look anything that's in the exempt column, this one, the exempt human specimen, it does not have a UN number. It's not a dangerous good, so it does not have a UN number, but it does have a shipping name that has to be marked on the outside of the package. Exempt human specimen. So are we finished? Did everyone finish their paperwork? Does it look good?
Are we okay here? Bovine is what?
Bovine is
UN what?
So if you chose for the bovine, if you chose category A for the bovine sera, the proper shipping name would be UN 2900 infectious substance affecting animals. If you chose A, if you chose B, let's say you chose B, category B for bovine sera, which is perfectly acceptable, then it would be UN 3373 biological substance category B.
That's why it's technically yeah. So what did it say? What did it say?
Is everyone finished? Can we go? All right, let me clear this and let's keep going. All right, so yep, a question.
Yeah. DNA or genetic material of these infectious agents. Where do you place them? Category B or what?
Which one? Which number?
I mean DNA or genetic material from these infectious agents.
I can't understand.
I mean genetic material, DNA or RNA of this infectious agent of category A or B. Do you put them under B or what?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I can type it for you.
Yeah, please. Sorry. When I think when they're far away from the computer, so the microphone, when it's far away from the computer, it sounds, I can hear it very clearly when you're near the computer, but when you're far away, it just sounds like really underwater or something. Are you typing the question?
Check the chat.
Okay. Good. Thank you. So DNA or RNA. So if it's purified DNA or RNA, yeah. So I would say the answer to that is it would be not regulated.
Not regulated.
Not regulated. It's not capable of causing disease, so it's not regulated.
Thank you.
All right, good question. That's a good question. All right, so let's go on. Actually, you know what? Let's finish for today, and then tomorrow we'll I'll do some review exercises. But let's end here today, and let's be back here tomorrow morning. Let's get an early start so we can finish in time to take our lunch. So are we starting tomorrow at what time? 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock.
9? Okay. So I will see everyone tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Please be on time. We are going to start right at 9 o'clock. Okay.
Question for you.
Really? Give us, we'll take to our house.
I want to take it. The last time.
Come down.
We do everything about the system. We'll get 18.